Happiness is the literal number one thing that is most important to a healthy, exciting, fulfilling, high quality life that you want to live. But I know it sounds obvious, but a lot of people get kind of caught up feeling stuck on how to actually be happy because they find themselves stuck in a situation or feeling stuck in a situation that they don't want to be in but feel they have to be in for one reason or another. If you're thinking, oh great, here's another video about feeling good and finding the peace within, and you're ready to close this already, I get it and I understand. I've been there too, and honestly for years I felt like this was bullshit. Reality is, I just wasn't ready for the information. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. I think ultimately I kind of mistook the idea of finding the peace within as settling or giving up on having once and feeling like I wasn't allowed to still get what I wanted. I saw it as me kind of surrendering to happiness in the moment, as me being happy with being unhappy. And that is not at all what I'm suggesting you do. Like, at all. That is not what it is about. If you're tired of feeling stuck and you're tired of thinking in circles or thinking things like, I just want to be happy, but things don't ever go my way, or I can't catch a break, or you're constantly talking yourself out of doing things because you figure out you're just going to be disappointed again. Or if you feel sick all the time and just keep thinking, if I could feel healthier, I could be happier. I invite you to stick around to the end of the video because I honestly think that I can help you see things a little bit differently. I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why happiness is so important and 4 things to do to help you be happy every single day of your life. Welcome back. Or if this is your first time joining me, I'm John Wetz and this is Spirituality U, and I'm excited to have you here. On this channel, I talk about spirituality, personal growth, mental health, law of attraction, and some other fun esoteric things that kind of fall in the same category as those, but are a little bit more out there with it, are going to be creeping into this channel as well here in the future. So if this is your kind of thing and you kind of jive with my vibe, love it if you leave me a like and subscribe. That way you can see more videos that are coming out. Anyway, let's dive into it. So like I said, I'm going to give you guys 3 reasons why happiness is so important. And the first reason is our health. Being happy is critical to our health. It's essential to recovering from surgery or illness or disease or anything. I've seen so many people beat what seemed like death sentences because they simply decided that they had a reason to fight and they found happiness in the middle of their nightmare. At the same time, I've seen people just kind of wither away because they focused on their nightmare and just paid all the attention to the negative things that were happening, believed that they weren't going to get better, just were miserable the entire time, and oftentimes faded away even faster than doctors expected them to. I firmly believe, and a lot of people out there believe, that there is an obvious connection between happiness and health. There's a lot of studies out there even to suggest that is true. Have you ever noticed when people get sick, they tend to be dealing with a lot of stress? And have you ever noticed how healthier people tend to be also happier? They don't get sick as often, or if they do get sick, they don't get sick as bad as some other people do. I'm not saying that it's impossible for somebody that's, like an all-star athlete and super happy with their life to not get sick. We do see that happen. But generally speaking, healthier people tend to be happier, and happier people tend to be healthier. People who are a little bit more upset all the time or depressed or in kind of a lower state, they often have more physical ailments and struggle with their mental health as well. I used to be one of those. Like, I've been able to tell the difference between the two from living in both situations myself. And I honestly don't believe that it's a coincidence that when we are more depressed, that we feel sicker and have a lot more issues popping up than when we are feeling happy. Think of what we do when we get sick. A lot of us as kids, we would just curl up on the couch with a bowl of soup and some cartoons. Some of us even still do that as adults. Not going to say who. But just a few days of resting, relaxing, and doing what we want and keeping ourselves in a happy mood tends to do wonders for our systems and relieves our symptoms very quickly. Like, we tend to recover a lot faster when we do that. Likewise, there's been times where, I've been feeling really crummy, but decided to just push through and go out and enjoy myself and feel just not let myself get down. Not because I was, suffering from something that was contagious, but I just generally felt kind of down, more in like a depressed state or just lethargic and kind of yucky. And just being out and being around people that made me happy or doing things that made me happy that would boost my mood as well and make me feel better. Like, I wouldn't even be down for a day. It'd just be like feeling kind of groggy and crappy in the morning, sinuses or headache or whatever. But then I'd get out and kind of live it up a little bit, and everything would get better, and I wouldn't even feel sick anymore. The only thing that's in common between these two things is we end up putting ourselves in a happier state where we're more content and relaxed, and we feel better faster. On the flip side, when I'm having to miss out on something, or when I was having to before in the past, because I was sick and couldn't go because I was contagious or just generally felt so crappy I couldn't go, I would feel bad and feel worse because I was missing out. It put me in a more depressed state. I would just feel even worse than normal. Now, obviously these are different times. I'm down with a sickness at some point. Yeah, that's the name of the song. But, I'm down sick sometime with a different thing. So it's kind of hard to compare. It's kind of like apples to oranges. But in general, I can tell, the symptoms seem to be worse. Like the times that I was actually feeling worse, I was also less happy. And I couldn't bring myself to actually do things that made me happy at that point. So I would feel crappier. Likewise, think of when you've pushed through when you're feeling sick and gone to work or done something that you didn't want to do because of, you were obligated to for some reason, and your symptoms get worse and it takes longer for you to get better. Both scenarios, you're not in a happy state. You're either resting or you're active, but you're in a depressed, funky state. You're doing things you don't want to do, which makes you angrier, which makes you feel crappier, and it takes longer to recover. At least I've experienced that quite often, and I know others have as well, and I'm assuming you can probably relate to that also. There's actually been studies done that have shown that a positive mood can really improve recovery time from surgery. I don't really think it's that crazy to apply that to just general illness and sickness as well, that a positive mood can lead to a quicker recovery and a negative mood can lead to a longer one. I want to make sure that people understand I am not at all advocating that you go out and spread your germs and whatnot when you're sick to make yourself feel happier. Germs and bacteria that cause illnesses are very real, and kind of aware of that in this day and age, but not everyone is going to be able to look at it as long as they end up happy, they're going to feel better and be okay. And sometimes that's not going to be enough either. Sometimes you are actually going to get sick and your happiness is not going to be able to completely control it. So staying home when you feel sick and you may be contagious and finding your happiness there is the more compassionate and responsible thing to do. I'm simply pointing out happiness's role in health and recovery time, or at least my belief and a lot of others' belief in the role that happiness plays in your health. The second thing is happiness affects your perspective. When you're happier, you're going to be quicker to look at the more positive sides of things and more open to more positive experiences. Have you ever been kind of like looking for something and you couldn't find it and you swore that it must be lost or something, but then come back later and you find out that you were just basically walking over the thing that you were missing for a while? Same is kind of true with our perspective of things. When we're in like a negative viewpoint of things, it's very easy for us to miss positive opportunities and experiences that are there all along, but we're simply so caught up in like the negative things around us that we don't focus on what positive is already there. Generally speaking, I'm just saying the mood you find yourself in is the stuff that you're going to pay attention to more. If you're in a more positive mood, you're probably going to see and notice a lot more positive things around you. If you're in a negative one, you're probably going to notice a lot more negative. Being conscious in the reaction that you choose to everything that comes up in your day is going to be key to making sure that you have a better day and stay happier. However, some days it's not going to really matter. Like, you're just going to have to go through the motions no matter what you do, no matter how positive you stay. It seems like it's just going to keep shitting on you. These are what I like to refer to as lesson days or test days. What I mean by a test day is there are going to be days where the universe just seems to throw curveballs at us left and right, where we start experiencing things that we don't want to be experiencing. But this lets us see how we are growing on a soul level, because we will experience things that would have triggered us to all hell before in the past and made us get angry, start yelling, and would have just ruined our day altogether. But we get to start seeing ourselves react differently. We don't get so swept up in the emotion that we turn into this like tornado of all pissed off piss and vinegar. Instead, we accept what's happening and we try to find the lesson in it, and we try to just not resist it, but just kind of go with the flow and get it over with. And we start noticing that change in ourselves. And that's what I mean by a test day. It's the universe testing us to show us that we are growing. The third thing that happiness really affects is our vibration and our interaction with the law of attraction. As I said in other videos, we are all energy vibrating at different frequencies. I'm not going to go into detail on that. If you want to actually read up on it more or find out more about it, I have a video on here called The Law of Attraction, the Algorithm of the Universe. I explain what it is at a much greater detail. I'm going to go ahead and put this nifty little chart up again over here, I think is where it's going to be. And so you can kind of see what I'm talking about on this chart. The happier emotions kind of fall up at the top with, enlightenment, peace, joy, love, and the lower ones fall at the bottom for like more negative states of fear, desire, anger, grief, and even lower than that. Think back to one of your happiest memories. I bet it felt kind of almost euphoric, You're up kind of at that chart level of like peace, joy, love, and just in the happier vibes. Now, real quick, think back to a memory that you did not prefer, that you kind of wish never happened. I bet you're falling down to like the anger spot or fear, or grief, and whatnot, and kind of going through those emotions as well. When you were feeling these things, the universe is sensing this, and it is picking up on your vibe. This is similar to the perspective thing, but I believe it goes a little bit further. Rather than just noticing things that were already there, I firmly believe that the law of attraction actually helps manifest opportunities and experiences for us. There's this belief that we are kind of co-creating our reality with the universe, and it is one that I personally subscribe to. I've got a lot of reasons for doing this, and I'll go into that more in other videos. But for now, just kind of humor that idea as we get through the rest of this video, and I explain some of this stuff, because this is where I'm kind of explaining it from. Whatever state of consciousness you're in on this scale is what the law of attraction is going to try to give you more of. Remember this idea. The universe is unconditionally supportive of us. It is so unconditionally supportive that it will help reinforce the belief that it is not supportive of us if that is what we are focusing on. Think of it like this. Whatever we're focusing on and putting energy towards, the universe is assuming, since we are putting any emphasis or energy on it, that we're wanting something from that interaction. So it is going to continue serving that to us. If we're wanting to change our experiences, we need to change our vibration, which involves dealing with our emotions. So we need to find a way to get ourselves from this lower state into the upper. And if we are in this reality where, we deal with the law of attraction and it is bringing us more of what we're putting energy towards, we need to figure out a way to pull ourselves out of the negative states and put ourselves into the more positive so that we can start experiencing more of the positive. I'm not saying that when you're up in, the enlightenment state or whatever it is, that you're not going to have experiences that kind of sweep you out of there. And I'm not saying that it's impossible when you're at the bottom to feel happy and have positive experiences. But my experience with this is when I am, more up in that high vibe state, I experience more frequent positive interactions than I do negative. Like as when I'm down in the, negative states, everything that can go wrong seems to start going wrong. It's like I kind of become a magnet for whatever I'm putting out into the universe. I've said it before, and you'll hear it a lot more on this channel. One thing that I kind of like to tell people is we like to think of that we need to see something to believe it. The universe works the opposite. We need to believe it, and then we're going to see it more times than not. If something really isn't meant for you, you're not gonna change the universe's mind. Like if you're not a good match for it, it's not gonna ever come your way in the way that you're wanting. It may come your way in a very broken, distorted way to teach you a lesson, but it's never going to manifest in the way that you are hoping it will. So now that you know some of the reasons why happiness is so important to the quality of life and the mechanisms behind what brings us our experiences, or I'll say what I believe are the mechanisms in the universe that bring us our experiences, let's get into the 4 things that you can do every single day to try to keep yourself happy every single day. Or at least return you to that happier state faster and easier when you do get knocked out of it. Like anything else, choosing to be happy or sad can become a bit of a habit or personality trait, if you will. Our thinking patterns become habitual, and we recycle something like 70 to 90% of the thoughts that we have from day to day to day. We don't have that many new original thoughts. So, trying to get yourself to shift from a more sad state to a happier one, and I'm speaking of this more, if you consider yourself to be depressed, or if you think you might have depression, understand you've kind of built subconsciously this habit of being depressed and returning to that depressed state. It's become something that has become a bit easy for you to fall back into because it's kind of a habit at this point. So what we're going to try to do is replace some of those things that you do that take you to that depressed point with things that build a habit towards being happy. I realize it sounds a bit artificial. At least that's how I took it at first, and it was one of the reasons I was so resistant to this at first. But it does work. It's really not as fake as it sounds. The first thing to do is simply change your situation if you're able. I know not everyone is able to do this right away. So if you're not able to change the situation right now, these other things are going to help you a little bit more to learn to deal with and kind of counter whatever the situation is to keep yourself happier until you get to a point where you are ready to or able to change the situation you're in. I'm not going to say sit there and try to find happiness in the situation, because depending on what you're dealing with, whether it's a living situation, a relationship, struggles at work or a job or social crowd or lack thereof, I'm not saying to settle with it and learn to be happy in the unhappy situation. I'm saying try to find things external from the situation that can bring you happiness while you're in that situation and stuck in it until you can find a better solution. You're not accepting the situation that you're in for the rest of your life. You're simply admitting that getting out of it is a bit out of your control, or you're not ready to make that change at this time, but you're allowing yourself the freedom to have the time that you need to get through it and work up to changing it. But you're not settling, and you're not going to stay in that situation forever. Make that promise to yourself. If you're in a situation you don't want to stay in, understand that you are going to get out of it at some point, but you're going to do it in your own time. The second thing is to make sure that you do the following 3 things. See what I did there? It's actually more than 3 specific things. It's 3 things hidden into this one thing. You're getting others as well. So don't think I'm cheating you out of things here. But make sure that you do the following things every single day. The first one is do something for yourself just because you want to. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be super time consuming, or it can be. But get in the habit of every single day doing something for you, whether it's just watching a YouTube video, watching something on TV, going for a walk, taking a bath, playing a video game, going for a drive, calling an old friend, whatever you want to do. Treat yourself to something, buy yourself something nice. Do something every day. It doesn't have to be the same thing that you do every day, but do something every single day that makes you happy, that is not a need, but a want. That is key. Don't only do things that you need to do. Get in the habit of doing something that you want to do for you and only you, whether it's take time to yourself or whatever. Just get in the habit of doing something for you every single day. You can do this more than once a day. I'm not saying you have to limit it, but make sure that you do it at least once a day. The next thing is do something for someone else every single day. Just because you can, not because you have to, for no other reason than you can and you want to be a good person. Hold the door for a stranger. Call a friend just to say hello. Have a conversation with someone. Ask them how their day is going, whether it's somebody at line at the store or whatever. Just be friendly. Send a beautiful message to a friend. Inspire them, lighten their day up a little bit. Tell them how much they mean to you. Tell them you love them if you want to. Give someone you love a hug. Squeeze a little extra hard. Just do something for someone else, whatever it is, to brighten their day. You can do this more than once a day as well. Whatever feels right to you. Make sure you do it at least once every single day. The last thing to make sure you do every single day is eat a good meal. Whether you cook it, order it in, or go out to eat somewhere, make sure that you have at least one meal a day that you enjoy the taste of, but also nourishes you, that is healthy. Find a balance between the two. Make sure that you are going to look forward to this every single day. This takes a little bit of committing to, because not all of us like to cook, and sometimes it is hard to get that nice, good meal in. But this is a way every day to show yourself a little bit of love. Taking that little extra time to doing it for you it helps you feel cared for, and you're doing it yourself, which brings more happiness to you as well. The third thing, this should actually kind of be in what to do for every single day from the last three that I just gave, but I feel it kind of deserves its own mention because it is so important. And that's simply be grateful. I know a lot of people say this all the time, and it's really easy to kind of roll your eyes and be like, oh my God, you're just telling me to be happy about what I already have. And yes, I am. Because did you know that we get something like 90% of the wishes that we have come true in the things that we want? We're just not really aware of it. We pay attention to that 10%. This number might sound a little odd to you because it's like, what? I don't feel like I get like 90% of what I wish for. You do. You're just not consciously aware of all the things that you wish for in a day. A lot of stuff becomes habit again. Things like your next breath, the place that you live, the people in your life and whatnot. You are wishing for these things all the time. They're just on autopilot and you don't actually consciously think about them. Bring consciousness back to all the things that are in your life. Think of the meme that floats around on social media of, the happy face when your paycheck hits your bank account and the sad, unhappy face that follows 5 minutes later after you pay all your bills and realize you're out of your money or you have very little. It's funny, who hasn't been there? I've done it, we've all done it. But I also am kind of aware that this kind of leads to us thinking about all the things we could have spent that money on if we didn't have those bills. But we kind of forget that those bills that we're paying are providing all these things that we want in our life already. Electricity, internet, our car, the place we live. They're providing things for us that we actively want. We just forget to be grateful for them a lot of the time. Rather than seeing your bills as this burden, consider the blessing that you have the ability to pay them. Not everyone has that ability. So bring consciousness back to those things that have become kind of a habit in your life that you're kind of taking for granted. I'm not saying you're doing this intentionally. We all kind of forget about stuff, but the things that you've charged your credit cards or the things that you're paying for monthly, these are things that you deemed important enough at some point in your life to pay money for. Now that you have them, they've kind of gotten on the back burner and you're focusing on what you don't have again. This is why I say something like 90%, and I forget where I fully heard the statistic, but when I heard it, I questioned it too, but it's like 90% of what we want, we get. We just focus on the little bit that we don't get. And I've noticed that to be kind of true, because it's like, as soon as I get something that I've wanted for a while, I'm like, ooh, nice new shiny thing, and I pay attention to it for a little while, and then slowly, it's less in my viewpoint and consciousness and whatnot, and it becomes this thing that I just have. And then I'm like, where's the new shiny? Where's the new shiny? Don't get in that habit. Or when you do get in that habit, learn to break it and become grateful for what you have already. It doesn't mean that you can't get new things. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't want new stuff. It just means to understand that you have so much already. And being grateful for it, it reminds you that you have a lot. When you're constantly focusing on what we don't have, it's easy to get in this belief that we are lacking a lot in our life, when it's not true. It's just, again, our perspective and our focus are on the wrong thing. The fourth and last thing is what I like to call the happiness Patronus. Yes, another Harry Potter reference. If you're not familiar with what a Patronus is, basically it's a spell of conjuring this little guardian from calling back a memory to chase away this evil soul-sucking thing called the Dementor that is basically literally trying to steal your happiness by giving you this soul-sucking kiss. So, again, I'm a nerd. Harry Potter stuff, expect on this channel. But the happiness Patronus is either recalling a memory of a really happy one or daydreaming and letting yourself kind of go through the emotions of either the memory or the daydream. One thing with this is, don't do it if you're not ready to be happy yet. If something has truly happened that is kind of traumatic, let yourself go through it if you're feeling like you need to. I know it might sound odd to be like, wait, are you saying I want to be unhappy? Sometimes we do. Sometimes we need to feel authentically, in a non-rushed way, the experience that we're having with whatever put us in a unhappy state. Don't just use this to cover up the pain that's there, to bury it, but use this when you are kind of getting into a state where you're feeling unhappy, but you don't really know why, or when you've been in that unhappy state for so long that you are kind of stuck there and you need to get out. And one more thing to be a little careful of with this one is not falling into the trap especially with the daydream or even the memory of it's not real or it's not there anymore. It can easily let yourself get attached to the desire of wanting to go back to that and feeling like, yeah, this isn't real. It's just fantasy. It's not really there. I'm missing this still. Push through that. Let yourself just go with the daydream and relive the memory or live in that daydream. Let yourself feel the emotions of it positively. It's going to lift your vibe. Like, just go through it as much as you can. I can't tell you enough to just kind of silence that voice that is telling you, oh, you're not going to feel this happiness again, or I wish I could go back to that. Don't wish you could go back to it, and let yourself just go back to it. And once you've gone through reliving that memory or the daydream, go back to number one and immediately do something that you want to do just because you want to do it. The reason for this is you've kind of pulled yourself out of that unhappiness state. You've started the momentum back towards the happiness. Now you need to continue it. It'll be really easy to kind of fall back into it if you don't do this. So when you've pulled yourself out of it and gotten yourself going towards the happiness train a little bit, continue pushing it along by doing something for you that you want to do. You can do the other parts of it too. You can go back through, make sure you get a good meal and whatnot. Just make sure that you do something you want to do after using the happiness Patronus. And one more thing to the happiness Patronus effect is, I know it can feel a little artificial because you're either thinking of something that isn't real or you're reliving something that you can't really fully relive. But think of it like this. Whenever you watch a movie, whether you've seen it before or a new one, and it has like all the good feels in it, and you're getting into it, you're rewatching it, you see like your favorite scene, does it get diminished at all because it's not real? The movie's fictional normally. Sometimes it's a real life movie kind of thing. But does it impact you any less? Does it make you any less happy? No. Like, you just enjoy it for what it is, and you let yourself feel it again. You can do the same with your memories or your daydreams. The daydreams are just your own personal movie that you've created in your head. Anyway, I'm going to start wrapping up this video. I hope this helped you and it gave you a fresh perspective of things. See, sometimes I can't even talk. But anyway, I know it's kind of weird to feel like you're trying to create your own happiness. I fell in this trap, I guess, of feeling like happiness had to come outside of me for the longest time because it felt more sincere or something. I don't really know what it was. I'm still trying to figure that out. But get used to, and you will get used to it the more you do it, of creating your own happiness of it. It doesn't mean that it's not going to come from external sources in the future, but you're allowed to make you happy too. There's nothing wrong with it at all. These tools are simple, but they are very powerful, and I've used every single one many, many times to help myself maintain a happier, higher vibe version of myself that I just feel more comfortable being, and notice helps me be, more enjoyable to be around, so I can help other people be happy as well. I'd love to hear your stories about how this helped you in the comments below when you get to try these tools out and whatnot. So don't forget to come back and kind of visit me for a moment and let me know if this is actually helping you. If you like this video, please don't forget to physically like it in the buttons down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more as well. This helps me be able to help others be able to find my videos easier when you do this. So anyway, love y'all, and I'll catch you guys soon.